Yes everyone, how are we all doing today, and welcome to another video on the channel. And first of all, I'd like to apologise for not uploading in a month now since the final game of the season. Honestly, I've been very busy finishing up all my college stuff and getting ready for the summer, which I'm now officially embarking on my summer. So the content should be picking up a little bit now, and obviously video is a little bit delayed, but obviously the time at Leicester City after the season and towards the next season, the opening of the transfer window, is usually a little bit quiet. But this season, I kind of expected it. It is not quiet at all, as Enzo Maresca has departed Leicester City to join Chelsea on a 5-year contract with the option of another year, as Leicester City's search for a new manager now intensifies with Enzo off to Chelsea. And what do I think about it? Honestly, me personally, and the people I go to the Leicester games with, we are not fans of Enzo, and I'm definitely not an Enzo fan. And to see him depart for Chelsea and for us to get £10 million for him, I'm not, I wouldn't say I'm thrilled because we've lost a manager, but I am very pleased with Enzo moving on personally. I just think our chances of staying up now have absolutely skyrocketed, because Enzo is like Vincent Company last season, doesn't budge from his principles, and his principles were never ever going to be effective in the Premier League. He doesn't change anything. He doesn't maneuver. He's not pragmatic. He's not pragmatic. He's not reactive. He just has his thing, and if it's not working, whatever, I'm going to keep doing it in the hope it just changes. And in the Premier League, against better players, us playing out from the back with better players pressing, better managers, it was going to be an absolute car crash with Enzo in the Premier League. And to see him move on to Chelsea, I think our chances, as I just said, I think our chances of staying up, no matter what a points deduction is, with a more reactive manager, more proactive manager who will change things before it's too late, I think we've got a good chance of staying up now. Obviously, depending on the points deduction not being something ridiculous like 8 to 12 points or like anything more than 10, would be completely ridiculous. But what do I think of Enzo Maresca at Chelsea? Because I know there's probably going to be Chelsea fans watching this video. And in all honesty, the amount of times I sat in the stands last season at home games, the amount of times I stood in the away end, and this was mainly when we were succeeding, not in the bad run in March, April time. This is when we were thriving from August to January, February, when we were looking like being the best championship team ever and getting over 110 points at one point. We were all saying, oh my God, imagine Enzo's players, imagine Enzo's system. Who doesn't love some camera issues, eh? But what I was saying was, Enzo at Chelsea, I think he'll do really well. Because us Leicester fans, throughout the entirety of last season, we were saying, get this man some better players, some Premier League quality players, and no doubt he will thrive, because that's what his system needs. He needs players who are able to pass the ball quickly into gaps, then move forward, then be solid defensively, be able to press. So we were all saying, how good would he be with Premier League quality players? How good do we think he's going to be with Champions League quality players? And money to spend this summer, I'd assume, with Chelsea now avoiding FFP issues. Honestly, Leicester fans, I think they're more wishing he's sacked by Christmas than thinking he actually will be sacked by Christmas. But honestly, I see Enzo being massive success at Chelsea. I do think they'll get in the top 4 next season. But Chelsea fans, do be careful. He will blame anybody else but himself when it's not going right. And if it gets off on a bad foot, he'll call the fans out. He'll call the board out. Just be ready for Enzo Maresca's press conference antics. But in all honesty, as a whole, I think he'll do very well at Chelsea. And Leicester City, our heads now turn to finding a replacement. After a year of Enzo, after a year of thinking it was all back to how it should be, we'd found a manager for the long haul. Enzo even said himself, I'm here for the long haul. I don't like staying at a club for one season. I want to build a vision, 5 to 6 years. First sniff of a bit of this, and he's off. See you later, Enzo. Who do we want, Leicester City fans? Here's a few options that have been linked, and here's my opinion on them. So, we've had not a long list, but a decent amount of replacements linked to us. like of Ruud van Nistelrooy, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in the last hour or so. Don't shoot me, I don't think it would be that bad. But Ruud van Nistelrooy, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, David Moyes, Oscar Garcia of our sister club Leuven, honestly. I'd struggle to get behind us next season if that happened, but it's not looking like it's going to. Obviously, Graham Potter was the dream, not going to happen. Liam Rosenior was there, but there hasn't been any concrete links of him. Carlo Ancelotti's son, Davide Ancelotti, he wants to stay. He wants to stay with his dad. But the two for me that I think it's going to come down to, and there's one who I do think it will be, and it's not the one I want it to be, Steve Cooper and Carlos Corberán. And obviously I'm going to talk about these two because these are the two that I think are going to come down to a final shortlist for me. Well, not for me, and for the board as well. Steve Cooper obviously did well at Swansea, guided them to the playoffs twice. Obviously didn't come up trumps, one final and one semi-final. And then he went to Forest, and they were bottom of the league when he came in, and he managed to guide them to promotion that season, which is a feat that I don't think can be overlooked. That Forest squad wasn't very good that he got promoted, and to then go into the next season and manage to keep that side in the league after the board signed hundreds of millions of pounds worth of players that he had no say in, to be able to keep that side up, as much as people will say, oh, he had all this money thrown at him, none of those were his players, in fairness. And he did a very, very good job to keep that side up and was unfairly sacked, some might say, in the middle of last season. Is he who I would go for? No. Is he as bad of an option, no matter his past links to who he's managed before? Is he as bad of an option as people on social media are making out? No, not at all. Steve Cooper would not be a bad appointment, and this is what we might have to do. As much as we want to get a big, flashy, quick football manager in, like the guy I'm going to mention next, we simply don't have the money to be throwing around, what, 5 to 7 to 10 million pounds worth of compensation. We got 10 million for Enzo. I feel like the board are going to want to use that as pure profit and just bank that against PSR and the next few seasons where we're probably going to breach again if we're not careful. So I don't see us spending money on a Carlos Corberán. So Leicester fans, keep your eyes peeled for Steve Cooper, in my opinion, being the choice to come to the King Power Stadium. However, I know you guys are aching to hear what I have to say. A little old teenage Leicester fan. Who do I want in? If I was John Rudkin, thank God I'm not. But if I was John Rudkin, and God forbid if I was Susan Whelan, Jesus Lord. But if I was the Leicester City hierarchy, who would I appoint? Personally, for me, it is this man. It has to be Carlos Corberán for me. He's not just like Enzo, but he's similar to Enzo. He has his style and he likes to stick by it. But unlike Enzo, if he sees his style not working, before it's too late, as I mentioned previously, he'll move things around. He's got a plan B, which Enzo never had. And Corberán, for me, especially at Huddersfield and West Brom, has overachieved massively. Let's start with West Brom. Just like he's going to be at Leicester, he hasn't had much money to throw around. He did very, very well to guide that side to the playoffs this season. He came up against a very strong Southampton side, which most teams, they get automatic promotion another season. So to come up against that Southampton side, to even guide that West Brom team to the playoffs against teams that have spent a lot more than them and have potentially have better squads than them, I'm thinking they finished ahead of Norwich. So Norwich, Hull, especially Coventry, he did a very, very good job this season. And looking at his Huddersfield times, which I think is even more of a success, that squad was nowhere near Premier League quality, as you saw a season later when they nearly went down when Corberán left. So they played Steve Cooper's Forest in that final, and we all remember the decisions, the 2 penalties. They didn't reach the Premier League off the back of dodgy VAR and referee calls and an own goal. He was on another day, Carlos Corberán guided that Huddersfield side back to the Premier League, and in no world was that a Premier League side. So I think he works well with squads that aren't as good as other teams in the league. He doesn't mind not spending as much money. He can get his formula to work, and he has different formulas if they aren't working. And he's Spanish. And as my dad likes to say, you wouldn't want him if his name was Brian Anderson, some British bloke. Yes, I would. His style is fantastic. He has other ways of adjusting his style. It's quicker than Enzo. It's different to Enzo. It will still suit our squad reasonably well, I think. And Carlos Corberán is the man for me. I know we'll have to pay a little compensation, but for me, I think it's worth it. I think he'll keep us in the Premier League. And even if he didn't, he'd be there in the Championship to hopefully guide us straight back, as he'd have a better squad than he's ever had. When he's achieved in the Championship before with West Brom and Huddersfield, he'd then have a Leicester City squad, which would be a lot better than those two squads, respectfully so. And then he could push us back up again. So Carlos Corberán is the man for me. Do I think it'll be Carlos Corberán? No. I think it'll be Steve Cooper. But we should see next week. And there should be another video when we appoint a manager. So thank you all so much for watching. And I will see you all in the next one. Leave your thoughts on Enzo going. Chelsea fans, leave your thoughts on what you're thinking about Enzo. And Leicester fans, let me know who you want in the comment section down below. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Stay safe. Have a good one. And all aboard the Leicester City roller coaster for another year. Give us a quiet year, please.